that sometimes, a lot of the time, life is just really great, you know, and I see the miracles happening all the time, and tapping into the universe, infinite intelligence, and knowing that that I'm part of that. So I find that really fantastic, and that works more and more. But sometimes it doesn't work, and I don't. And then, of course, I fall back into doubt that this is all perfect. I mean, this doesn't appear perfect, so it's not all perfect.
Fall back into doubt.
Yeah, easily,
very easily.
Yeah, that's right. So yeah, it doesn't take much of a knock to put me back into doubt again. I don't stay in that position for a long time, as today with that thing, which, you know, potentially it's a disaster because I've been working on this for a year or so. But I just sort of let it go and thought, well, that's what he wants at the moment, but let's see what he wants a bit later. Let's let it go. So, you know, and I can do that. But tomorrow morning I might wake up feeling incredibly miserable. So yeah, why does it ever get to the stage where we live in absolute joy, irrespective of what is happening? That's really what
a wonderful question. Do we ever get to the stage where we live in complete and constant bliss?
Like when everything's going well, it's going really well, and you use the techniques and it's great, but then something happens and it's like suddenly, you know, it's like, but it is, I found it really helpful when and this morning I was feeling really anxious about something, which I'd have to think about for a moment, but just to do the switch thing. Why am I feeling like this? And how do I feel? And like what am I feeling? Do I like it? No, I don't like it. I don't like the way I feel. It's completely in my control that I'm feeling like this, because there's no one else around here. There's just me lying here feeling like this. And I just thought, just switch, you know, just switch. And
as soon as you address it, it dissipates.
Yeah, and by switching, it makes me kind of go, oh, okay, that feels better. And then, I don't know, I'm able to think better. It's like the anxiety is overwhelming. And then if you can actually recognise it, it's that awareness of knowing that you actually do have that choice that I find. And I've certainly found that helpful.
Yeah. So you're saying that you can apply the technique of, you know, the 3-step technique. How am I feeling? How would I like to feel? And then allowing that feeling to arise, and then when it does, to say, and I allow myself to be guided by this good feeling. Great. But then you're also, sorry, Ash, I'll just finish this bit. And you're also saying, but we don't automatically go there to start with. There, sometimes when it's a bit easier to do that, but there are times when it's not so easy to go into that technique, or to think about going into the technique, number one. And number two, really what's behind the question that you are asking, Paul, is why do we even get to the point where we need to use the technique? If that's the question you're asking. In other words, why don't we remain in uninterrupted bliss? So, yeah, go on.
I guess the underlying question that I heard from that is, will we ever, you know, hit that utopian where we're just in utter bliss? I think it's important to understand, or I guess be aware of, what's the goal of this. Is the goal to reach that utopian? I'm not sure it is. We say that every day is a day-to-day choice and a day-to-day, I guess, way of being. And by acknowledging, saying that you felt anxious, and you know, that wasn't a good feeling, you're sort of saying to yourself that you did something wrong, and that the only time that you're right is when, I guess, you're feeling the good feelings. And I think, you know, if you shift your brain around to say, well, you know, that's part of the enjoyment of life. Does that make sense? What I'm saying is
the mixture of feelings and have to experience.
The goal isn't to reach, you know, the utopian of good feelings. The goal is to be able to flow between those feelings freely. And so, in a sense, you're restricting yourself by putting that pressure on yourself to reach the utopian. Does that make sense?
To me, it makes absolute sense.
Yeah, like I suppose as soon as I still feel stressed, I get very anxious. But I suppose what helps me is as soon as I go, it's okay that you're feeling anxious. I mean, I don't necessarily want to stop feeling anxious. I just don't want it to cripple me anymore. So I think you're putting a lot of pressure on yourself by saying that I have to reach this constant utopian of blissfulness. You know, and I think in essence that's what maybe adds to that negative feeling. But as soon as you say to yourself, you know, this is part of life and it's okay to, I guess, not always write the fiction, that in itself is a happy feeling. By saying, look, I'm feeling anxious, but it's not controlling me, and I'm participating. Does that?
Sure.
I'm articulating that well. But
I mean, I certainly understand it perfectly.
Yeah.
What do you guys think? Let me throw it to you this way. What if we didn't have the belief that there's an ideal state? Right? What if we didn't have that belief, and that instead every state is perfect? What if we had that belief instead? Would that make a difference in our lives?
I think so.
Yeah.
I guess the thing is that when you're feeling that anxiousness and your body's experiencing stress, and it's lasting, it's a different thing to. I don't think that that's a perfect state to be in. So I guess what I found with that is when instead of trying to, it's like looking at why do we feel anxious? Is it because, and it's exploring all those things, because I expect that I should be doing something better, or I think that they're judging me, or I'm, you know, something. It's a whole range of things that actually make us feel anxious. Or I'm expecting that I can do better. It's something there, and I think actually being able to, perhaps because we're a little longer in the tooth than you, we've had a little bit more conditioning, and you know, the conditioning. You know, when you get to 50 and you've had conditioning for all of your life with your expectations of yourself and the way things are supposed to be, in inverted commas, and then you stop and go, well, hold on. Why am I feeling like this? It's sort of a different, that's what I think is not such a bad way to be. But feeling horrible, and you know, it's just bizarre. I can't believe what I was anxious about this one. I can't remember now. Yet I was lying there feeling like it could 4:15, like I just couldn't, I didn't know what I wanted to do, you know, and it was, I just can't think what it was, which is unbelievable because it was so awful. And yet I did the switch, and I thought I just need to, but I don't like this feeling. Is the bottom thing. Why am I back feeling like this? There's something about work, I'm sure, but it'll come to me, I'm sure. It won't take much. But one of those situations like you're talking about, where you feel that feeling of anxiety, like whatever you experienced today, and you're thinking, why do I have to feel like this? I don't even want to feel like that. And you don't want to feel like that stress state. It's like you want to like, oh, okay, so he screwed up the last year of my life for me, thank you very much, but it's okay. I'll be fine, you know. So I don't know if we can get to that stage, but it is around letting go of the expectations that we have, I think, you know.
Yeah, very much. I agree with that. I agree. Yeah, very much so. And I find that I can do that really quite well now. You know, and I'm even on the phone when he was telling me today that you know, he wasn't going through with the deal. I could immediately just say, well, that's I could immediately just say that was what he wanted to do, and my expectations of what I wanted him to do were quite different. But I find it easy to let go of that. But it doesn't mean to say that I don't want, that I think the situation is perfect, and I do want to have the deal go through. So, you know, I'm basically today sort of let go and said, well, I will do a few things to see if I can convince him or look at other ways to do this, but not really stressing about it. Really just letting it happen. What happens, what I've done that in the past, over the last few months, things have happened incredibly miraculously, and particularly on this deal, things have happened in this deal that have been miraculous. But then suddenly, his decision negates all of those miracles, because it's not going to happen. So he says.
The universe teasing you.
Yeah, I think it is.
It's like having that little bit of.
I think it's the final block, you know, and also, you know, it's something that's been, you know, in all honesty, there's still some stress about whether I can actually fulfil the deal and do the deal. So, you know, that's still there too. So maybe that's causing the problem.
So there are a number of things there that maybe we can look at. One of them is, firstly, what do we mean by perfect? You know, when we say this is perfect, or this, any state is perfect, what do we mean by that? If we are interpreting perfect as being, you know, just wonderful, good feeling, I think we've got nowhere else to go then from that point, right? But if we take perfect as meaning, this is happening. This is it, right? And I have no quarrel with it, because it is just an event. This is an event that is happening. Yeah. It's perfect. You know, the wonderful Jesuit counselor and priest, he said, you know, when there's no other moment to compare it with, each moment is perfect. Yeah. Right? So maybe we need to try and think about, what do we mean by perfect? You know, and then when we think about bliss, again, we have some idea that bliss means this beautiful, unencumbered state. And it is, actually. It is a beautiful, unencumbered state. But how do you have that state of being unencumbered? It's because of the way you look at things, the way you view things. If you view something as being not right, wrong, not ideal, well, you're going to suffer as a result of your thinking. There is no other cause of your suffering. No other cause of your suffering. It's not about what somebody did or didn't do that's causing your suffering. It's the way you think about it. And react. Right? And the way you react to it. So that's